conference based on our recognition and on the contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think this point was raised earlier in one of the earlier sessions. There may be examples within Somaliland that can be useful for Somalia. In any case, final comments here to Tim Hitchens and Minister Bellingham. And I apologise for those I couldn't get to, but we had a...
Well, thank you very much indeed, Chairman. I'd like to thank all of you very much indeed for your contributions. I just want to pick up on some of the questions that have been asked just most recently. First of all, I think the point about the clan structure and the need to move away from a clan-based representation, I think that's incredibly important. But don't forget, when the whole Djibouti process started, you didn't have these areas of stability. Now I think you can move away from that and look much more at inclusivity, at a proper representation. I think on the point about piracy, that there must be a solution on the land. And one of the things I'm really quite excited about is we've got some ideas for reinforcing those communities that have chased out the pirates with development schemes, using the private sector, DFID money. So in other words, where a coastal community has been freed of pirates, then they will be rewarded by money for schools, for hospitals, medical centres, you know, all of that sort of thing. And I also feel very strongly that the TFG must get a grip of the EEZ, that's the Exclusive Economic Zone, so they can actually charge fishing licenses, they can take control of issues like toxic dumping, and that they can also make sure that they liaise with international maritime forces to not just deal with piracy on the high seas, but take control of our own maritime waters. That is something that the TFG really could do, but it's constructive. I think on the point about, someone made some quite moving comments about the refugees and the humanitarian problems. I think it was you, Madam, at the back. This is all a symptom of the tragedies and the problems of the past. We would have liked to have spent, it could have been, you know, a 5-day conference in its own right to look at how we handled this. But I can assure you that DFID and the other donors, the other agencies are really focused on this, but we are picking up the problems of failure. The whole idea of this conference is to look to the future and to be more optimistic. And I just want to say something about, there is going to be a follow-up, I can assure you. It's not just a one-off, but there are going to be a number of work strands, there are going to be a number of specialist groups that will come out of the conference that will drive the agenda forward in some of these very, very important areas, these different strands. And I think that someone asked, has there been a change in attitude? Well, I think there's a change in emphasis. There's certainly a change in our allocation of resources in terms of aid and development. And I think that we're really determined to take a lead on this. When our Prime Minister decides that he wants to take a lead, then I can assure you he's a man of real commitment and real substance. And he is making this one of his priorities. And he's determined to help try and make a difference. And so I really do give you, my commitment. It's not just going to be a one-off event. There will be proper follow-up. And on the point about Somaliland, there's been a lot of talk today about Somaliland. My view is that, of course we can't park this somewhere else, but it is in a separate silo. And if the Somalilanders want to explain how well they've done and they want to engage with neighbours to the south, now is the time to do it. And we are not judgmental in this because we understand their aspirations, but we also understand the wishes of the rest of Somalia to remain an integral federal country. Just as I'm a unionist, I don't want Scotland to go independent. But my final point is that, and I leads me into this final point, please be as united as possible. Pull together for the sake of the people of Somalia, those people who are suffering, those people who have been dying. There are many evil, negative forces out there who are longing for us to fail, and we mustn't ever play into their hands. Let's prove them wrong. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Billingham. Thanks for those comments, especially right at the end. One of the emails that came in here just towards the end reminds us how serious this process is. It talks about the fact that there was apparently a suicide attack in Mogadishu this afternoon. At least I've just read this here, but we'll find out, I'm sure, more details later. And I think the scale of the importance, as you said, the timing is really because there is a confluence of internal factors, opportunities, many of them, and external factors which have really caught and captured the imagination of the international community. From a Chatham House perspective, we're delighted on behalf of our Africa programme to be able to host all of these members of the Somali diaspora here at Chatham House, to be able to host this conversation with the Foreign Secretary, with the Minister, with the head of the Africa desk at the Foreign Office. Thanks to Sally Healy, who's really been leading a lot of our work on the Horn of Africa here at Chatham House, along with Alex Vines and Tom Cargo and everyone. But keep giving your input, and I think these comments that were made from the floor, as well as by Minister Bellingham, about being able to really be constructive in your answers, as many of you were in your contributions, it'll really help us help the situation to the best of our ability. Thank you very much. Thanks for giving so much of your time.